Good morning, everyone, or I guess it is for me when I'm making the video, whatever time of day it is. Good day to you. Yesterday, I had to do some healing from my past long ago, and I used my higher being. I had to. And that's a nebulous thing, I think, when we're getting into this. What is that higher being? Years ago, I would have gone, I don't know what you're talking about. That's crazy. But it's there, and it takes a while to engage it, to figure it out. And I want to talk about that in this video. My name is Dan Paulson, and welcome. Okay, let's talk about the higher being. I think it's probably deserving of a lot of study on its own, but for now, let's just try to keep bits and parts of it. That I've described before, there's a part of each of us where we can step outside of ourselves and see ourselves, but it's more than that. It gets a little bit more intense than that. We can kind of live life from that place when we first start out in life, we're living from our higher being because we don't have life experiences. As life goes on, we pick up life experiences, we learn things, and we learn from our environment and our life experiences. And then we move on having life based on those experiences and the emotional state that we continue to hold them with. We begin to live through that. We are no longer living through our higher being. We are now living through our life experiences. When we were ready to be developed, we were not developed in a way that kept us open. We were developed in a way that actually closes us down and puts us into the physical life. The higher being is still there, but we kind of lose track of it. And we need to go reattach to it. Okay, here's what happens. And I have to start in my childhood. I'm not going to go tell a whole big story. My brother committed suicide. I'm going to tell that story. I came from a pretty abusive home, whipping and screaming and yelling and, being held and whipped until you were just welted all over. Mom losing control, completely losing it. And it was her past playing out. I had brothers. It happened to all of us. She'd line us up on the bed and, we're crying before you even get whipped. We're little kids just in line getting whipped for, little kid stuff. Fighting over the Tonka truck or something. Who gets to pull who in the wagon? Normal kid things. We lived in the country. We didn't have access, didn't have friends. We're just out in the yard playing. We also go to church. And in the midst of life, my brother Larry and I, who are very close, came from a previous father. We were a little older than my other brothers, but we were close and we hung out together. Many a times I can remember sitting in the cold linoleum floor, me and Larry holding each other, sniveling away while when you get welted, at first it stings and then it gets really hot. And we would feel the cool linoleum on the hot skin and you kind of put your legs and your butt down on that. Yeah, I remember stuff like that. That was kind of childhood. Larry one day learns about, we all knew about heaven. We prayed to God that, please come and help us, and it never happened. Anyway, one day, my brother learned in his Sunday school class a lot about heaven. That day on the way home, he was talking to me about it, said, do you want to go? Or, can we, I was 9. He's 11. I'm not really on board with it, but I remember it. At any rate, later that day, I leave the house and I go out and I find him in the woods where he is hanging in the tree. He took a rope and hung himself. And I ran home and got a knife because I couldn't untie the knot. I ran home, got a knife, cut him down. I had to try to give him mouth to mouth. I don't know what I'm doing. All I did was force air into his stomach and cause him to regurgitate. I didn't know how to do mouth to mouth. I saw it in a first aid book from our scouting, Royal Rangers scouting group. And I thought, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. But yeah, like I said, all I did was force air into his stomach, so he vomited and he was already gone. At any rate, I'm freaked out. I'm a little kid. This is my brother. My dad comes home from work. My mom and him go to the hospital. Larry had been taken in an ambulance. I remember as a kid thinking, oh, good, finally, they're going to get him out of it to the doctor. He'll be okay. And my mom and dad came home later that day. Nobody said anything. They told us to go to bed. I was thinking, oh, maybe he's going to come back tomorrow or something. I didn't know. I had no idea. Well, I didn't talk to mom or dad. We didn't have that kind of a relationship. Usually you try to avoid them, not go talk. Life was not that way. You didn't go sit on somebody's lap and ask how things are going. That just wasn't life. Anyway, the next day, my dad woke me up and said, you got to go to school. So here it is. I cut him out of the tree Sunday. Monday, they're making me go to school. I don't know where he is. I don't know what's going on. Nobody said anything to me. And I just had to go to school, and I was confused and hurt. I'm being obedient, but I'm not okay. In school that day at recess, I remember just little bits and pieces of that day. I don't remember much. I shouldn't have been there. There were 3 little boys at home at this point that were younger. It was like 5, 3, and an infant. And so, and I didn't know at that time they had to make funeral arrangements. They didn't tell me anything. That day at recess, I hear kids, there's a group, and they're like, "Hey, Paulson, I heard your dad killed your brother. Hey, Paulson, I heard your brother killed himself." That's the first time I heard my brother died. I'm in school, and I'm hearing it from other kids. And of course, that was because Mom is, she calls up all the ladies of the church. They come over, and they're doing a prayer thing, blah, 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 speaking in tongues and doing all that shit. Anyway, so everybody knew but me, and I'm crying. I'm not okay. I remember that going back to class, and I remember the teacher calling me up and giving me a note, an envelope, and said, "Would you please take this down to the office?" And of course, I'm just blindly doing it, which is, look back on it, teacher never asked me that before or since. That was a weird thing. That was an isolated, the teachers were looking out for me. They're like, "Let's get this kid out of the class." And so that's what happened. She gives me the note. I go walking down to the office. I'm just in a daze. I don't know what to do. And I'm crying. Everything is just, my eyes are welled up. I can't even see. Everything's blurry. But the secretary in the office saw me coming through the breezeway thing, and she comes out and exits and grabs me and diverts me over to the nurse's office, where the nurse puts me in the back room and lets me lay on the cot there and asks me if I need anything, and says, "You can just stay here and rest." And she just let me lay there and bawl. And I remember that. And I used to tell that story, and it would make me cry so bad I couldn't deal with it. And I'm struggling a little bit right now, but this is a part of the past that I have to resolve. I mean, those things happened. Yeah, they happened. And you go on in life, and other things happen. At some point in time, here I am years later going, okay, I get it. I get life. I'm emerging from a mess. I'm not the only one. Lots of people don't make it. You're making it. It's okay. Take heart. You're moving ahead. Leave the past behind, and you learn those things, and you go, "Yeah, okay. Yeah, it happened. I get that. But it doesn't help my life to continue feeling pain every day of it. There's a point where you have to move on, where your life is not going to be okay." Okay, so that's just one thing that I have to resolve. There's other things that happen in life, but this is the issue that I want to talk about. It happened in early November, Christmas, my birthday, around Christmas time. There was, like, at that point in time, lots of weird things. I can also remember as a little kid, this was something that happened in church when I went back to church. And so I'm in a Sunday school class that's one under Larry's, and my Sunday school teacher said to go down and see Mr. Woodard in the basement. That was Larry's Sunday school class. Go down and see him, that he had something for me. So I go down there, and as soon as I open the door, Larry's whole class, they start singing happy birthday to me, and they have gifts out and the cake and things like that. And I just bawl. And they never did this before. And I feel bad about it, but I also felt bad then. It was a tough thing, but I can remember just crying as they're singing me happy birthday. And as they got done, I just looked at Mr. Woodard and said, "Are you doing this because Larry died?" And he didn't know what to do, and I'm crying. Yeah, it's still a tough thing. You see, it's still kind of rough. At any rate, and of course, they're probably like, "Oh my God, I don't even know what to do for this poor kid." You look back on it as an adult and go, "Yeah, they didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. Nobody knew what to do." And of course, yeah, I'm not okay. I lost my brother. Mr. Potato Head's not going to make me feel okay. The times that we have like that in life get put away. And then later on, you might think, "You know what? I'm okay. I see what happened. I know everybody was doing their best. Nobody hurt me. I was a little kid that nobody knew how to help me. Time to figure it out. Nobody knew how to help them. Time to figure it out for yourself." And life goes on, and I'll just cut to the chase now. I don't realize that as life goes on, every wintertime I get in a funk. I'm not okay. I get snappy with people. I'm not all right. I feel bad. I feel like I'm dejected. Something that's always, and I didn't know it happened in the winter. That's a cycle that was going on all my life. Later on, somebody says, you know what? You always get like this in the winter. Why is that? And you're like, At some point, as I'm growing and developing and realizing cycles, it finally comes to me, you know what? If something severe happens to you, imagine getting raped or molested, and you put that away, and it becomes an issue. And as long as you don't deal with it, it's there. And so we know to go after those things. Do we know to go after the other times? Here I am sitting outside. Nobody was doing anything to me, but I'm sitting there in despair. I am sitting there wiring my own brain based on that experience and putting that away. And that never did get dealt with. There's a part of little Danny Paulson, myself, that is back there. That's that little kid crying and doesn't know what to do and is confused and has left. That memory is still in place, the same as if I had left something else in place. And it's emerging, and I can tell. And as I tell this story to my wife, we're driving, and I got tears running down my eyes, and she says, yeah, you told me this story last year too, and you cried too. And there's a point you go, what? Really? I did? I don't even remember that. I don't remember the timing, but it starts clicking, and you're like, okay, let me tell the story. So I start telling the story, and I realize I'm crying, I'm bawling, the tears are running. That's always happened. This time it's different. This time I'm engaging the higher self too. This time I'm going, oh, yeah, there's something there. Go ahead, tell the story. Let the tears flow. Let it out. So here I am. My conscious self is allowing my subconscious memories to come through, and my conscious self is hurt and crying, and it feels all of that, while my higher self is looking at it going, yeah, come on, bring it out. Go ahead and feel it. You're doing good. You're doing good. Let it out. Let it out. And the tears are coming down, and you're realizing that the issue is that you have to not just go, oh my God, this happened. Oh my God, this happened. You have to go, yeah, this happened. Look at it. Disconnect from it. That's where the higher self comes into play. That we can't disconnect from those. Here today, you see a little bit. If I told this story 2 or 3 days in a row, I'd be fine with it. Not that it is okay situation, but I won't be devastated by it anymore. I'm changing the energy of what is stored. And you can tell what the energy is. How do you know? You start telling that story. What happens? You bawl it. That's a good thing. You're like, okay, yeah, this is an issue. If it didn't hurt me, you don't have to fix it. If it hurts, you go, okay, let it come out. That's what's hurting you. Pay attention to it. Anyway, I don't know how to teach people to develop their connection with. I think I said earlier, go find it again. It's actually there all the time. What we've done is we have life plugged up. We've lost access to it. We have to remove life to get back to that. It's there all the time. We just have to find it. And then once we realize that it's on one side of our mass of crap and our conscious on the other side, then we can start working through that to get rid of things and tunnel through and get that stuff out. At any rate, that is what happens when you engage the higher self. That's the part of you that is now not going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It's the part of you that's going, yeah, come on, bring it out. You're going back and you're addressing yourself. I'm finding my little self, and I see myself sitting there crying and not knowing what to do, and I go address myself. It's a memory. I'm okay today. That little memory is not. I'm just updating that memory. I'm telling that little kid, here's what your future is. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what you come from. Here's what you need to do. You're going to get there. I need to let that I need to resolve that stored memory. That's it. If you have issues in your own past that you don't want to deal with, or if you do look at them, they make you cry, yeah, that's it. This is the stuff. It's the stuff. It's just a matter of whether or not we want to go after it and effectively manage healing. There is a process to do it, but it takes time, and you have to work at it. You have to engage with it. But if you do it, it frees up your life. Okay, what else? That was it. I wanted to say that because it's fresh in my mind, and I keep doing that higher being thing in the teaching, and I'm not sure if people are on board with that, but I'm also thinking that a part of that selection process that they put in up front is that there are people whose minds are such that they can really connect with that higher being, and there's many that can't. I don't know. I don't know if everyone can get there. You look at the world and go, I don't think so. We're trying to find our own way. Nobody's even showing us. There are actually teachers out there that are showing us, but it's different. What I'm doing is a little bit different than what anyone else is doing. I think I'm kind of digging into something that I'm finding something here that looks very solid, and that if you apply it, it works. I tell my wife yesterday as we're driving the story, my childhood again, and it's just waterworks. Today, okay. Just between yesterday and today, I've significantly changed. Day 7, rest. Give it time to come in. Hope this was helpful. Questions, comments, always feel free. Love one another. See you in the next video.